Ken Holland to the Los Angeles
Kenny.
Kings, Tommy.
Yeah, our guest, Kenny Holland, trying to tell me a couple years ago, oh, no, I'm done. I just want to play golf. Bullshit. I just want to play golf. I'm like, yeah, everybody at the golf course is going to hate you in 1 month. You're going to hate the game in 6 weeks because you're going to get worse. And then you're going to be dying for something to do. You're going back to work.
Welcome to the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. We are your line mates, Commie, Razor, Seaball, the Stanley Cup champion, Mike Commodore, the Calder Trophy winner, #1 in your hearts, Andrew Raycroft, and, I'm your worst nightmare in shell, James Sapolsky. And here we go, playoffs fast and furiously rolling on, and what do we have right now? We already got one team already off at the conference finals, guys, and it's the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton freaking Oilers, who a lot of people looked at and said, I don't trust the goaltending. Look at that back end, Commie. I'm looking at you. And yet, right now,
say that.
I would say the Oilers are the team to beat right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I never would have imagined I would have said that 2-3 weeks ago. Yet here we are, brother.
I couldn't agree more. I did say all of that. I think LA should have pounded them out. LA didn't get that done. They got through there. I don't want to be like recency bias, but I didn't see much of the game last night, but I watched all of game 4. There's no other way to put it. They look great. And I actually think I'm going to take some credit for this. I mean, maybe it's just coincidence. And I don't know if Darnell Nurse goes on Twitter, but I started a Darnell Nurse drinking game where if his knee touches the ice, a sip. When he lays out, it's a hammer your drink and go get another. I started that game 4. If we would have done it on game 3, I would have been hammered. I would have had to drink a case. One sip in game 4.
Wait. Hold that thought for 1 second. Just to clarify, for the Department of Clarifications here for Razor and I, you introduced a drinking game. Have you tested the theory of this drink? Like, have you tried consuming alcohol with these rules in place watching an Oilers game?
I did during game 4. First day of the game, I'm like, if I'm going to bring this up, I got to do it. So I went and I got to watch it with the beers. So I cracked myself a high noon and watched game 4, Vegas Oilers. And I had a case in the fridge. I still do have a case in the fridge. I'm like, man, this might be a tough. That was what, Tuesday? I mean, I don't want to be drinking on Tuesday. Monday, it might have been Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. Because usually Darnell is on one knee and he's sliding all over the place, taking himself out of the play, deflecting pucks in, screening the goalie. It's a catastrophe. And I don't know if Darnell Nurse got the memo. Maybe he's on Twitter and saw that drinking game. I went the whole game. His knee touched the ice once. He stayed on his feet. He was moving around. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Darnell Nurse looks good right now. He isn't worth 9.2 and he never will be. And that's okay. That's on Kenny Holland, not Darnell. But he's playing. I never thought I'd say this, but he is playing great. And he played great last game too. I didn't see as much last night. Last night I was drinking on my own, no drinking game. But the Oilers look really, really good.
And more impressive, Razor, is that he kept Commie sober for a night on a Monday.
Totally
who'd have thought that, and who'd have thought they'd be through first into the conference finals? Yeah. Just no chance. And Darnell Nurse is the one of a few scapegoats out in Western Canada. Obviously, Stuart Skinner being another big one, and he posts back-to-back shutouts while Darnell Nurse is staying on his feet, which is absolutely incredible. I knew he was going to be back. I knew we were going to see him again. It kind of worked out perfect that it was Picard who got injured, not like a bad game. So Stuart Skinner comes in, bounced back after that late goal by Riley Smith, pulls back-to-back shutouts, and now we're looking and staring at an epic Western Conference final rematch from last season. So I give a lot of credit to the Oilers, boy. Knobloch and his coaching staff, like they have turned this thing around. And of course, when you have the two best players, you can outscore some of these mistakes. But like Commie just said, they've tightened up their mistakes. And if they can get Ekholm back, holy smokes, what a turnaround. Good on the Oilers. I just didn't see this coming, and
Nope.
everyone in Canada should be thankful, because all of a sudden they're now the new hope in Canada.
Well, this is what's remarkable is that, you know, there's kind of been a real pattern the last 5 years or so. Like, before you win, you have to learn how to lose, right? The Panthers had it against Vegas. You know, Edmonton gets to Game 7 last year in the Stanley Cup final. And there weren't a lot of people looking at the Oilers coming out of the West, despite that run last year, just questioning, look, no Ekholm, looking at that blue line, looking at the between the pipes, and you've got redemption stories everywhere. You know, Razor, you touched on it, right? You've got Stuart Skinner. What a story for him, all of a sudden, to go back-to-back shutouts, taking out Vegas in 5 games. You know, you talk about Darnell Nurse, Kami, and yeah, we've laughed and we've cringed and all of it over the last few years, but, you know, Nurse has locked it down. But then look at all these other redemption stories for the Oilers. You know, you got Evander Kane up front who's healthy, and then on that blue line,
he's been good.
Now, John Klingberg, right? Like, John Klingberg has turned back the clock 5 freaking years ago, right? Troy Stetcher, who's kicked around the league for the last few years, right? There's a guy who all of a sudden is logging solid minutes, helping this Edmonton team. And then Kasperi Kapanen, who has been, you know, team to team to team to team, hadn't scored a playoff goal in 4 years. And all of a sudden, this guy with an overtime winner in Game 5 to kick out the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, the Oilers, this is not all about the nuclear weapons, right? It is not all about McDavid. It's not all about Draisaitl. Those guys each had a single assist in the last 2 games. All of a sudden, you have a supporting cast that we have often looked at in Edmonton and said, I don't know about this. And these guys are picking up. It's remarkable. Everybody's leveled up here.
And they get a rest. It's a beautiful thing. They're, you know, can't wait to see this conference final now. And if they can do it against a really good team.
Somebody would have told me that a team with Darnell Nurse and Klingberg on the back end playing major minutes is going to make it to the conference finals. I would have been or be a primetime Martin Brodeur in net or something like that. But they've done a great job. I will say the last 2 games I didn't see as much as of the last one, but Game 4 especially, they look really good.
8 of 9. They won 8 of 9 in the last 9 games that they've played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they've had to use 2 goalies, and it's not McDavid putting the team on his back. It's not Draisaitl putting the team on their back. Like, this supporting cast is, I don't think anybody saw this coming. I think, to your point, for both you guys, but it is remarkable. And again, like, would you guys not agree that this is the team to beat in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now? Or at least coming out of the West?
Oh, Dallas.
You'd still take Dallas over that? See, at least Dallas has, to me, looked more vulnerable at times against both Winnipeg and against the Avalanche. And yes, Colorado was a great team, but I mean, 8 of 9, how do you go against what the Oilers are doing right now? And they're doing it without their best defenseman.
Yeah, for me, look, I take no I'm from Edmonton, but I'm not an Oilers fan. I played for the Calgary Flames. So, I mean, it pains me to say, you know, I got nothing against the Oilers, but I don't cheer for them. From what I see, if they keep playing like they have the last couple games, I think they're the team to beat out of the West myself.
I agree. I
they
totally
look
agree.
good. I can't believe I'm saying it, but they look really good.
Oil country is alive and well. It's a different story in the center of the universe right now. We'll get to that in a moment. Well, as we record this edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast with Kami, Razor, and Sabalski, we look at the Maple Leafs that were flying high, taking the first 2 games of a series against the defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers. And just when everybody was starting to explore the possibility of routes to plan a parade, suddenly things just go not just sideways, they go upside freaking down. Yeah, Houston, we got a big problem. And the Leafs now down 3-2 to the Panthers. I don't think anybody thought this would be a quick series, but how the Leafs lost game number 5 at home, getting their clocks cleaned to the Panthers. It was ugly. No heart in a game like that. Razor, let's start with you as the former Leaf. Let's perform. I don't want to perform the autopsy yet as we record this because There's still a series
over yet.
Yep. It's not over yet. But what do you make of what you've seen these last 3 games?
It's not over yet. We'll preface, but then we have to go on and actually talk about what's really going on there, because it's 2-0. Listen, we talked after 2-0, and I said, until Toronto wins in Florida, I'm not buying into them. I'm just not, because I've seen Florida up close. I've been on the glass last 2 seasons. I've watched them 13 playoff games, and I know what Florida's about. I know them intricately, whatever that word is. And then game 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs have them on the ropes. Toronto comes out at the first period of game 3 like I've never seen this group. I was like, holy cow, they're actually going to beat them. They're actually better than Florida. They're actually going to win. I can't believe this. They go up 2-0, then they go up 3-1 in the second. And then Bobrovsky shows up and the Toronto Maple Leafs show up. And here come the defensive lapses. Here comes the bad neutral zone play. And here comes Brad Marchand, of all guys. Overtime winner. Done. That's it. And now Florida's got their game. Very similar. We just talked about Edmonton. They dodged their bullet against the LA Kings on the challenge on the play by Byfield. They got through it, and then they've ripped off 8 of 9. Expect Florida to rip off 8 of 9 now, because they're in their game. They've got to their game. They absolutely dominated game 4. They dominated game 5 even more. Of course, Leafs get a late one, but I don't know how the Leafs score more than 2 goals in this next game, in game 6. It's not going to be a blowout from my point of view, like game 5 was. Toronto will show up. They'll have some guts, but they're not the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers dodged their bullet. They got to their game, and no matter Marner and Matthews are doing their disappearing act, but I don't think it matters now, even if they do show up. Florida is Florida.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on that, I'll extend on that a little bit. We talked after they were up 2-0. Razor said what he said, and I don't know if you guys remember, we made that little post on Instagram. It's on my account there. I took the Leafs. Razor said what he said and said, hey, look, like, they got to win in Florida. I'm not a believer. And Razor, you got torched in the comment section. Guys are calling you all kinds of he's bitter.
I can't touch the Leafs one way or the other. Like, I'm just a lightning rod. I get it.
Oh, yeah. They're all over you. And now we're sitting here 5-6 days later, and I took the Leafs. I look like it's not over, but I look like a clown, and you look like you know exactly what you're talking about, and there's going to be no comments on there anymore. I'll tell you that right now. The disappearing, it's like last game. I watched the first 2 periods last night.
How much did you love that spinorama backhand pass
the
through the
Marner spinorama right up the middle, coming right back down your throat, tap in back in the net. I think right then I sent a text. Oh, Jesus. I mean, it was awful. I guess for Leaf fans that are watching this, I guess the 2 things. The series isn't over. You're down 3-2, but it's not over. I understand what we're all saying here. Florida looks like Edmonton does in the West right now from how they played last game.
Totally.
Good news is it's not over. And the second point I would say is that I guess if you're going to lose, you might as well get blown out. 2-1 is the same as 10-0. It's a loss. Move on to the next game. And I touched on Twitter a little bit. If this team has any spine at all, after you get blown out, the next game, you come to play. Now, win or not, I don't know, but you come to play, and you're the better team, and you show up, and everybody shows up. So I'm really interested to watch Game 6. I think we're going to learn a lot about this group, at least for this year. Well, I guess not this year. Maybe this group is those core guys, especially in Game 6, because if they lay another egg, then Toronto, we got a problem.
Razor, you wanted to touch on that?
No, I just jump like they have to show up. They like if they don't, then we have 3 shows straight of destroying these guys, right? Like they have to after what they just did in the universe of hockey, and then they get a break and they win Game 6, and then it's a whole different thing. Then everything tightens up, but they have to show up.
I just look Marner. Everybody was up in arms with that terrible play behind the back. Just, that's regular season. That's preseason stuff, right? But at the same
Yeah,
time,
it is.
I look at Austin Matthews, and for a guy that, I think there's people who have been frustrated in terms of his lack of production from a goal scoring standpoint. This is the highest paid player in the league, right? And yet he is proving time and time again that he is Mr. October, right? This guy is a regular season player in the sense that this guy, look, you need players to get you into the playoffs. You guys can speak to this way better than I can. But this is a guy who has the 5th highest goals per game average in NHL history, right? And his goal production goes from 0.64 goals per game during the regular season, and that drops 25 points to 0.39 goals per game when you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I get that things tighten up in the postseason, but when you look at the greats that this guy is supposed to be in the conversation with, nobody drops off like Austin Matthews and a 25-point drop. Ovechkin, 0.6 goals per game in the regular season. He drops off probably most significantly of any comparable to 0.48. That's only a 12-point drop off, right? Sidney Crosby, almost identical. Nathan McKinnon actually goes up 15 points. He goes from 0.42 goals in the regular season. He goes up to 0.57 in the postseason. Leon Draisaitl, almost identical goals per game in the regular season and the playoffs. Sidney Crosby, almost identical. Wayne Gretzky, identical. David Pastrnak, Razor, you watch this guy time and time again, both in the regular season and the playoffs. Pasta goes from 0.52 goals per game in the regular season, and Pasta drops off to 0.43. So that's only a 9-point drop off. We're talking about a 25% decline for a guy who's supposed to be considered the best goal scorer of his sort of modern generation, right? This guy does not level up when it matters. He's big. He's strong. There's no excuses, right? Like at some point, you got to deliver. This guy just is not clutch. We put him on the freaking cover twice in this video game. You know what he does? He's making us look bad, right? Look, I got 2 of these framed things, right? Come on, step it up, right? If you're going to walk the walk, then back it up, right? Come on. Enough of this 34.
Can I jump in?
Yes.
That is the most informed take we've ever had in Clearing the Crease podcast history. That was excellent.
I love it.
You're 100% right, though. And Mr. October, Austin Matthews and Reggie Jackson.
Right. You want to be Mr. October in baseball.
In baseball, it's great.
Be Mr. October in hockey, right? Come on.
You're exactly right.
Enough of this. Anyway, that's where, look, it ain't over till it's over, but just a stunning drop off by the Leafs here. And man, I like all the moves that they've done. Just quickly, like your boy Treliving there, Commie. I like the moves he's made, but this is going to require, you cannot sit there and talk about running it back with this core anymore.
We've said it a couple years now, the core, but now the rubber hits the road with Marner being a free agent. It's just simple. Like, you just can't. Again, if they don't win this series, no matter, even if Marner gets 2 and Matthews gets 2 and they give up 5 goals in the next game and they lose 5-4 and those guys are great, you still like it. Again, TBD, right, for this, because we're going to go into this in a big way next week again. Either way,
it's. I would say I like the additions. I think the Leafs have looked better. It's not the additions' fault that things are at 3-2 here.
Problem.
That's the additions are okay. It's what's going on down the middle. But anyways, we shall see. Who knows? Maybe they go into Florida and blow them out.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah. And Austin Matthews goes off for 5 goals, right?
Yep. He scores 5. Marner assists on all of them.
Yeah. And serves me up a shit burger and says, I'm Mr. May. All right. We got a lot more to discuss still to come here on the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by BODOG. The Clearing the Crease podcast rolls on. Commie, Razor, Sobalski, and lots of new hires around the league. Off-ice news. Been a lot of big news with respect to hires, both in the front office and behind the bench. Let's just go around the horn here with a couple of thoughts. Adam Foote is now the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, replacing Rick Tocchet. Do you guys like that hire, Commie?
Yeah, I mean, I would say out of the recent hires, I probably like that one the least. But in saying that, that's just because, as far as I know, Adam Foote doesn't have any head coaching experience. But I mean, I'm assuming he learned a decent amount from Tocchet. I would assume he gets the players' respect because of his career and how he carries himself. So I don't hate it, but I guess we shall see. I don't know what other way they could have. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of options they could have went, but in-house guy, promote him and see how it goes. So I don't hate it. No.
I got to say, Razor, I'm somewhat surprised that Kami would not defend a stay-at-home rugged defenseman.
I know Kami
I was his
Adam
replacement in
Foote.
club. Yeah, let me rephrase that actually. Now, I was his replacement in Columbus. When they moved him, they signed me. So I love Adam Foote. Actually, I totally changed what I'm saying. Best hire ever. Go Adam Foote.
Like, you know what I'm just hearing? You know what I'm hearing right there? Future head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Mike Commodore.
There you go.
Man, you think Vancouver
You can replace him in Columbus. You know what? Hey, look.
Replace him in Van.
Quinn Hughes loves Adam Foote, Razor. I mean, this is about kind of keeping the meal ticket happy, don't you think?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Kami, you said it. He learned from talk. He has been assisting. He's put his time in. He's an unbelievable guy. I played with him in Colorado. I love him. I could see him being a Travis Green type person, figuring this out and being a good communicator.
I still wouldn't mess with that guy. Like,
no.
Sure, he'd still kick everybody's ass.
He is gritty looking, that guy, isn't he? His face,
absolutely.
His face looks like you can smoke him with a 2x4, and it isn't even really going to register.
And just to clarify, Adam, that's a term of endearment, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yeah, 100% it is. Yeah.
Mike Sullivan is in New York City with the Rangers. Razor, you're close to the East. An original 6 rival with the Bruins. This one, I think, surprised some, but give me a sense of Mike Sullivan now with the Rangers.
A perfect fit. Sully's ready to go, ready to win. The Rangers should bounce back. They needed some organization. Sully obviously does that. Like all these guys I have, Sully was my coach in the minors and in Boston for a few years. So he'll do a great job. Perfect fit, connection with Chris Drury, the whole thing. So makes sense.
Kami, did you ever
Yeah. I don't know Mike Sullivan at all. Obviously, like Razor does. I mean, his run in Pittsburgh, very, very impressive, obviously. So yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, it seems good. I mean, they must have signed him to some cash too.
Yeah, the Rangers were the only team that could actually afford him too. Right?
Yeah. What are we talking, like 6 or 7 a year?
Probably
gotta be
6, right?
Yeah,
probably at least 5 anyway, right?
Yeah, he's probably now the highest paid coach.
Yeah,
he probably just took over for my boy Babs.
That's it, Babs.
So, congratulations, Sully. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Actually, I don't have to hear about it, but yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like a good hire for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it checks all the boxes in terms of what the Rangers need for a guy who's ready to win now. Now, let's see if the Rangers can actually do all that, right? I mean, at some point, they got to be a team again, right?
Well, it's on the players now.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no excuses, but again, the amount of volatility this past year, I think part of that's got to fall on management and Chris Drury, and you got to get some chemistry in that room again. Rick Tocchet going to Philadelphia. No surprise from a Vancouver standpoint here, guys. Talk in Philly, is this the answer to kind of turn this franchise around that's been scuffling the last, half decade, it feels like now or so?
Well, I mean, he's going to go with people in Philadelphia love him. There's no question about that. He was a hell of a player there. So I think he's going to have a nice leash there. I think guys listen to Rick Tocchet. I mean, it's instantly, he'd be like an Adam Foote, maybe even a little bit more as far as walking into a room and people are going to pay attention to what he has to say. So yeah, I like I said, I think kind of we all saw this coming a little bit. I think he was on the TNT desk for a night or two, and then see you later. I'm assuming he's getting some good coin too in Philly. So I think that's a good hire as well. He's got some work to do there. They got some good pieces or whatever. I mean, Tortorella basically talked his way out of there.
Yeah,
he doesn't like coaching that kind of team. I get you, John, but you can't say that publicly. So yeah, good hire, I think.
Razor, I find it funny, like people in Vancouver like Tocchet for his honesty and how candid he was. But it is kind of funny how a guy who you talk about striking while the iron's hot, a guy who didn't exactly have success coaching in Arizona and then sits on a panel for years, nobody hiring him, working on a desk. And then he gets hired by one of his old buddies from Pittsburgh here in Vancouver, wins the Jack Adams last year, and like, you know, getting paid, like turned down a huge contract in Vancouver, and goes out east and goes back to where I think he wanted to go all along. Like, he's really parlayed this well, like him or not. I mean, good for him, for a guy who went kind of from like zero to hero.
Yeah, he got his good summer paycheck on the TNT desk for a couple nights this week too, right?
Yeah.
It's a great call. Just lines up perfect. Lines up perfect for Philly. Lines up perfect for Talk and those guys there. So it's just an absolute no brainer.
Joel Quenneville in Anaheim. Thoughts?
Seems like a good place for Joel Quenneville to come back. He deserved to come back. He paid his dues. He took his time off and has remorse for everything that went on in Chicago. And Anaheim's a good place for him to be. He's got his old teammate and Verbeek and running the show. It's a little quieter, not a big market like New York, so it's perfect for the league as well. And they're up and coming. He'll do a good job there.
Ken Holland to the Los Angeles
Kenny.
Kings, Tommy.
Yeah, our guest, Kenny Holland, trying to tell me a couple years ago, oh, no, I'm done. I just want to play golf. Bullshit. I just want to play golf. I'm like, yeah, everybody at the golf course is going to hate you in 1 month. You're going to hate the game in 6 weeks because you're going to get worse. And then you're going to be dying for something to do. You're going back to work. I knew he was going to do something. He finally admitted it to me like probably 6 months ago or so. He's like, yeah, I want to get back in. I'm like, you're going to get back in. And I know he wanted to go. He did the Canadian thing. Like, he had a good time doing it and everything, but I think he wanted to be south. Good situation. You know what I mean? I think Rob Blake from the outside looking, I think Rob Blake did a pretty good job.
Yep.
The fact that he was able to get rid of Dubois, like that trade for Dubois might have been one of the worst, getting him out of there and not keeping any salary and all that. I think he did a pretty good job. LA has a really good team. Ken just landed himself in a nice spot, and he's back just stuffing his pockets full of cash.
Yeah, he's got a good roster to work with there, Razor.
Oh, really good.
Oh, yeah, it's a great landing spot.
Yeah, good for Kenny. I know. It is remarkable though. Like, you look in the last few years. I mean, Lou Lamoriello just out with the Islanders. Lou was 80, right? Jim Rutherford's mid-70s. You know, Kenny's 69, and it's. He'll be turned 70. It's remarkable that as much as we talk about how the game has changed, the league still loves the Devils, right? Guys who've had success and experience, and, good for Ken Holland. If he wants to keep working and somebody's willing to hire him, and especially in LA, that's a nice market to get a gig with. And, he's got a goalie to work with. He's got a blue line to work with for the most part. And, not a bad group of forwards as well. So let's see what Kenny's fresh set of fingerprints can do with that. Let's go with Don't Puck It Up next, right here on the Clearing the Crease podcast. Time for Don't Puck It Up. Commie, let's start with you. Who better not puck it up on this edition?
You know what? I'm going to go. I'm not a Leafs fan, but I do pay attention. There's a lot of Leaf fans, center of the universe. I hear about it all the time. I thought this year might be a little bit different. I picked in our last episode there a little last week. I granted, yes, they were up 2-0. So I'm like, well, this is kind of an easy pick. I'll just take the Leafs. You're up 2-0. Things are looking great. 3 games later, things are not looking great. I'm not even going to ask for them to win this series. I feel like that's a lot. But I'm going to say, get Leafs, don't puck this up in Game 6. Show some grit, show some spine, and just get this series to Game 7. That's all I ask. I'm not asking for a win anymore. Just get the series to 7, and we'll go from there.
Seems like a reasonable ask, aside from the fact that the game's in Florida.
Yeah.
But don't
Florida just blows their doors off.
It's
don't
coming.
Puck it up, Toronto. Come
Feels
on.
like it's coming. Razor, where are you looking at?
I'm now staring directly at the Edmonton Oilers and the 8 of 9 hot streak that you talked about, C-Ball, and saying, don't puck it up for Canada, Edmonton. You are looking like the last hope again from 1993. It is all on your shoulders. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Stuart Skinner and Darnell Nurse. So don't puck it up. Take advantage of this rest and find a way to get to the finals again for all of Canada.
I'm going to call an audible here, and I'm going to look at the Dallas Stars. Don't puck this up. You have a run of runs right now from Mikko Rantanen, who is on a heater and then some. You just got back one of the best defensemen in the game in Miro Heiskanen. You got Ottinger, who's rolling right now, out dueling Connor Hellebuck. Don't puck it up, Dallas. You have been my dark horse for years, and I didn't want to go back this year, but I'm back on the Stars train, so you better not make me look bad, so don't puck it up.
Love it.
I love that. I love
and on that
Go
note,
Stars.
we will bring to a close this edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. He's Razor. He's Kami. I'm Sapolsky. See you next week.